Pod Candy!
A podcast about cults, crimes, and killers. Keep Sweet, Pray and Obey exposes a command and control system built to manufacture compliant girls for sexual and marital assignment under a prophet figure. Age was not a barrier. Children were transported, paired to adult men, and told their bodies were sacred instruments of obedience. Resistance was defined as heresy.
This documentary shows the machinery that made it possible. Boys expelled to thin the male population, income and housing held hostage, plural marriages conducted in a locked temple, and sexual acts performed under ritual instructions, Jeff's recorded as scripture. Not hidden impulses, engineered abuse.
The raid footage makes visible an architecture built for crime. Compounds designed to isolate, birth records falsified to erase ages, women relocated across state lines without legal agency, entire lives notarized to protect the perpetrator rather than the child.
Even after conviction, Jeffs continued issuing rules from the prison, proof that the violence was not a deviation of one man's appetite, but a system that could run in his absence because obedience had been carved into people as doctrine.
The FLDS, Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is a radical Mormon sect that continued the practice of polygamy after the mainstream LDS Church renounced it. Under leaders including first Rulon Jeffs, then his son Warren Jeffs, the FLDS confined followers in isolated communities, controlled and arranged marriages, housing, income, education, and arranged plural unions, including to underage girls as young as 13 and 14 years of age. They sold this to the followers as their religious duty. Male dissenters, especially teenage boys, were expelled. And if they had wives, these women were reassigned to be wives to others within the group. The community has been the subject of multiple criminal investigations and prosecutions involving child marriage, rape, coercion, and financial and social control.
Outside my window, it's only raining. When the wind blows, I feel pain. I don't need no doctor, baby, I'm not sick. My body's been locked up, heartbroken ever since.
Let's get into it.
Holy baloney. Holy baloney.
You know, it wasn't anymore. It was still as shocking when I watched it now the second time through. The thing that I took away from it is and I want to talk to Dr. John about this, the idea that when these women are from a very young age indoctrinated with this, whatever they tell them to do, all the rules and, away from secular life, that when they become saved, like when somebody comes to save them, they don't know why. They don't know why they're being saved. It almost feels like when people were released from concentration camps, they were so gone that they couldn't even realize that they were free. And these women, as we go throughout this, the children, when they raided the place, they took all the children away from the women, and the women were like up in arms about it. And what ended up happening was the children were given back to the parents. But it's just a mess there, and it's still going on. Dori, what do you think?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, it's interesting that you say that, And this was the second time I watched it too. And I'm glad that I watched it a second time, because I'm not going to lie, I didn't remember a lot of this. I've seen so many of the documentaries. I'm sure you have too, on Warren Jeffs. So this one, I was like, it's been, I think it was out in 2022 or something like that. So it's been a few years since I've actually seen it. But it is a great point that you mentioned that that the mothers were so appalled when they were raided, that the kids were being taken away. However, this whole religion is based on production of children to become wives of old men, like children of 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, to marry these old men and to procreate more babies. The children are treated like utter garbage. They are molested, they are raped, but the mothers, the parents, who they themselves, a lot of these mothers are children themselves. They are 16 years old. They are 15 years old, but they were so adamant about protecting their kids when they were raided, because, like you said, it is that brainwashing thing. They were probably
they're not even happy.
The ranch was literally Warren's fiefdom. He could do anything he wanted there. And so it became his grooming ground for underage brides. Raise them like calves in the stall. That way you're going to have this pool of pure, clean girls that are going to be going to these old lechers.
We believed that the maturity of our girls was higher than Gentiles and apostates. Age didn't really matter, so you could be married at 14, and if God thought that you were worthy at 14, then it wasn't a big deal.
The other thing I want to bring up, because you reminded me of something. Think about it. In IBLP, Orthodox Judaism, they don't, in Mormonism and FLDS, they don't teach anything. So when you're molested, you don't know what's going on. You don't know anything, so they can do whatever they want to you. They don't know anything. Yeah, they have no information.
The women that were
They're just
interviewed,
toys.
Yeah, exactly. The women that were interviewed in the documentary actually said that the first time that they had sex with these old dudes, they had no idea what was happening to them. They were crying. They begged.
They felt bad.
Bad about themselves. It is complete and utter rape, is what it of
rape
children.
Indoctrination about don't do these things. This thing is bad. This thing is bad. Come into my room. I'm going to do exactly what I told you out there not to do. And then what the hell are the kids thinking? Or they don't know. They're like, wait, I'm being bad. And then they say that the girls invited it.
Yeah. Didn't Rebecca say, okay, so Rulon is Warren Jeff's father.
Yes.
And at the time she married him, they made her marry him. She was 19, and he was in his late 70s?
It's what's called the placement principle. You didn't court and decide who you were going to marry. Only the prophet could choose who you married.
It was a big deal in our culture. When a girl is ready to get married, to turn her in to the prophet. And that was to go to the prophet and say, here's my daughter, do with her as you will, whatever is God's will. And so when I turned 19, my father, he brought me to Rulon Jeffs. It had become known that there was a specific handshake that he would give to girls that would then later become his wife. And that day, He shook my hand and he squeezed it 3 times. And it meant I was supposed to marry him. And my dad was so excited. For any man in the FLDS, to have their daughter marry into the prophet's family was a massive honor. And I think my dad felt like finally he was getting the respect that he was entitled to and that he deserved. But I was just like, ew. Roland Jeffs was 85 when I married him. And I was 19. So I got married. And then my father got his 3rd wife.
Can you, Stacey?
No.
Can you imagine?
Okay, how much
if
money
I
does
was-
he get?
Well, like, but
I
she
mean,
gets none of them, right?
I'm kidding.
How
Yes.
how would you like it if I were like, Stacey, I'm your matchmaker. Have I got a man for you? You're 18 years old, and I've got this man who's 80. Come and
Oh my
meet him
goodness.
and with him.
Does he wear a diaper? I hope I get to change his diaper. Oh, you know what?
Didn't
What
she
I
say?
say,
Didn't she say he
Gross.
was though?
It's so
the
gross.
fact that they had all of his wives had to like kiss him and be with him even when he was like at his death's door. How
Is that the one? Dori, forgive me if I'm wrong. Is this the one where the girl would massage his feet so that she could avoid?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she would massage, because I watched another thing after that, so I'm totally confused.
Oh yeah.
She would wash his feet so that time would go by and maybe he'd fall asleep and then she wouldn't have to,
Yeah.
endure any of that.
Disgusting. The
Yes.
closeness. What like procreation. So I don't wait. Did Rebecca have kids from Rulon? Did she have any kids from him?
That's a good question. Let me look that
I don't
up.
know, but let's talk. Okay, so then there is the son. So Rulon dies. I mean, he's an old dude. Then Rulon dies, and then Rulon has a million children, but one of the kids is this Warren Jeff. So okay, I know that there is a pattern of me, connecting with some of these people that we talk about that are disgusting people. However, no. Au contraire.
Oh,
Au contraire.
God. Okay, good.
Warren Jeffs is the most, I think, disgusting physically personnel. He talks like this. He's so okay. But here's a funny thing that I found about Warren Jeffs. When they showed that clip of him singing, I honestly thought of like, what if this were like Mormon American Idol, where he was like trying out for American Idol, and he's trying to be a pop star, and then later they say that when he was on the run, he was going to Disneyland, and he
I know. He had a motorcycle and a car. And he was drinking.
Yeah, I could
whoring.
totally see him wanting to audition for like American Idol or The Voice. Like, here's Warren Jeffs, our next contestant.
Hey, listen, that song that he sang from prison to those women who were sitting there with their, like, they were like taking notes so they could bring it back to the, to Zion. He was God in heaven, you are sweet. Like it was this gross, weird voice. It's like, and he thought
you should cut that as a demo. I think you should put that out.
And then the girls are like, keep sweet, pray, obey. I love our Father. And they're singing in this weird, the whole thing is so fucked up.
Well, it totally
and ugly looking. Everything's boring and ugly. Everything is just dark.
Everything is dark. Okay, so Warren, disgusting. However, Wallace, the brother,
Wallace Jeffs,
the brother who was interviewed.
You wouldn't kick him out of bed.
Eyes. He's kind of easy on the eyes. Wallace is definitely for me, but but then he talks about he had 1 million wives and he had 1 million kids. Oh, let's just say this too. What isn't it the fact that the more wives you have, the better off you're going to be in the next world, right?
Yes.
In their next spiritual. So you want to have these wives. Who was the one, Stacey? Well, I don't remember her name. Who was the sweet woman who initially was like so into it and then married one of Warren's brothers and really liked him, but then was told by Warren that she couldn't be with him anymore. What's her name?
Yes.
You remember? With the
Dr.
short
Mayer
brown
might
hair?
remember. The problem with me is I never take notes on names. You know what I mean? I know exactly. Oh, I loved her, the short brown hair who was in love with the guy. She was terrific.
Yeah.
And her kids
I
are
really
adorable
liked
and
her.
they're living a regular life. She's
Alicia.
great. Wait a minute. Was that Warren?
Her name was Eloise. Is that Warren Jeffs?
The voice,
I know it's
of
Halloween.
God.
I know
was
it's
Alicia.
Halloween. But
we are recording on Halloween. I think
We are.
that sounds a little bit like the cult leader, Dr. John Mayer, who
It does.
I appreciate giving us the name, Alicia.
Yeah, we're here trying to figure it all out. And you are the voice of God. Now, do we want to introduce him yet? Or are we there?
Do we even need to introduce him? I think he's already here. I think because it is Halloween, he may have flown out of the green room.
Yes. He's dressed up as a ghost.
I have a cult of two.
Whatever you say, Dr. Mayer.
And growing.
Whatever you say. So, Dr. Mayer, what did you think? Because we haven't discussed this.
Oh my God. As long as I'm here out of the green room, I barely finished my last chocolate chip cookie, but wow. I have to admit to you two, and 1,000 kudos to both of you, because, you said, we're going to take this on as our next assignment. And I'm going, okay, Mormon, ism, etc. But I started to watch this, and I have to tell you a little clipette or vignette. I finished my office hours one night at 1 a.m. in the morning, seeing patients, and I just said, I'm going to watch about 5 minutes of the documentary for the broadcast. And I stayed up another hour. It was captivating. I think it was episode 3, where it was just like, this is just so messed up. So, audience, this is just a crazy, crazy situation, and so evil. There's a lot of things that I want to say. And, the other thing that comes to my mind is I compared it to, in an interesting way, to the Jim Jones massacre. The Jim Jones situation has become such a part of our cultural lexicon. It's Jim Jones, and that's ultimate evil and crazy. This is of the same scope, if not more evil, because little kids were being raped. And I have used the term, which we've coined here on Pod Candy, of psychological murder. And I hate to say it this way, but with the Jim Jones massacre, people were, drank the Kool-Aid and died. But these people are living the rest of their lives with these scars and this evil that happened to them. And in my mind, that's just such torture. That's why I call it psychological murder. So those are some of my initial reactions. It's just, this is really an evil, evil situation. So I agree with a lot of what you were saying.
After I found out the truth about Warren, I realized that my whole life was a lie. Everything I was told to believe or thought. I felt so betrayed and so angry. Because I loved God. I loved this prophet so much. And I said in my mind, I am never going back. That was the turning point. Once I said that in my brain, I never questioned it again. And by damn, I was not letting my children go back to that.
One of the couple of comments I want to pick up on from what you both were talking about is the ignorance that the followers had. They were kept ignorant. They didn't know what was going on in the world. And that's what fuels things like this. People don't realize that there's alternatives. I thought it was poignant when the first girl, I think it was Rebecca Wall, who left, and she got a job as a waitress. And she didn't even know common slang or way people talked. And she would just seem, she was so compelling how she was just lost in the world because of how she was kept isolated. And that, I think that's, such a crime that happened to these people. And you both are right. When you talked about the mothers, crying for their kids, I think we mentioned how the state of Texas finally grew some cojones and raided the place because they had some evidence of the sexuality that was happening to minors. And they raided the place, and the mothers were crying for their children, had no idea. The one girl was also very poignant. The one girl, probably about 12 or 13, said, I didn't even know what these people were. These people in uniforms and guns. She had no concept of police.
They don't know what police, that's what I mean. It's like they have no idea anything about the outside world. So for them, it would be like a baby, like seeing all these things and being like, what is this? They wouldn't know it was protecting them necessarily.
Yeah, and another aspect of this, and I loved how Stacey and Dori was imitating Warren Jeffs in his voice. We hear him, and he's so mealy-mouthed, and yet there was this one statement by one of the followers saying, he was such a good preacher and such a good orator. And we're going, what? But then again, it goes to their ignorance. They never heard lectures or speeches from Martin Luther King or Obama, or, they don't know what a good speaker is. And they're just, well, everybody, the God Almighty, and we're going, people are following this guy? But in perspective, we have examples in our world, in our life, of people who are powerful speakers and reach us at a deep level. This is all they knew, which is, I think, an important point. That's why they follow.
The prophet is a representation of God on earth.
The best way to explain the prophet would be like the Catholic Pope. They've got a pope, pretty much runs everything.
We were told that our prophet would never die, that he would be renewed to be young again. We believed that the prophet knew everything we did, knew every thought we had, knew our dreams, knew our wishes, our desires. He also was the one that created all arranged marriages.
He was the final say behind any decision that was going to be made. In our minds, the police and even the President of the United States had no authority over us because Warren Jeffs is our president, he was the prophet. And how could you place a human over God?
The other general comment I want to make is that such a crime here. This is grooming of sexual predation at a mass level. Grooming. These girls were groomed to be sexual objects for these old men. And you both hit it right on the head. This Rulon at 85 takes one of the people who left, Rebecca Wall, as a wife when she was 19. It's just, let alone.
By the way, I looked it up. She did not have kids with Rule and Jeffs. I just wanted you to know that.
Yeah,
okay.
It didn't seem like
right.
it. Didn't seem like
she did not. She had kids with his nephew, with Warren's nephew or something, and they got divorced.
Rulon probably couldn't get it up. I mean, let's all call it what it is, right? Rulon probably needed the little blue pill before
or nothing in the bank, even if he could get it up, he didn't have anything to give. By the way, for our audience, I think the numbers are important. Both of you said, that Warren had zillions of wives. Warren Jeffs had 64 wives. 64 wives. It's crazy.
Well, and he had all those, like, we should also say too, I'm sure those that are probably going to listen to this understand, but the girls have no choice about who they marry.
Great point.
So it's all about, like, Warren Jeffs as the prophet, Rulon before him, his father before him, deciding who he would marry and all the other men in this group are going to marry. And again, let's call it for what it is. He's picking these kids to have sex with. He's picking these women to just, he has 64 wives because he wants to have sex with a bunch of women. This is what it is all about. And continue to create these babies within this faith.
The thing that was also so sad to me is they don't make any money. They have to give their money to him. They were giving him weekly money. He was getting $300,000, and the guy said, or more, a week while he was on the run. All their money. This guy, it's like, it's me saying, I'm a prophet, you know.
And these also, remember, they showed that some of these men were very creative and industrial people. One started a business that was, multi-million-dollar business. I think there was a couple that started incredibly successful businesses, and they had to turn everything over to the church, which, I hope one of the goals that Pod Candy has to make change in this world is, I think we need some kind of legislation or some kind of evaluation of what creates a church in this world. We have so many.
Yeah, and you know what?
People.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't think
I really
so,
wanted to. It's never going to happen. Christian
And that they
nationalism.
don't pay taxes, and that they don't have to pay follow the money.
It's the biggest front for rape, abuse, control, manipulation, isolation. It's the one thing they can use to support what they're doing, and they can always support it. It's insane.
One of the things I want to get to too that really bothered me and cuts to my core is I was always taught when I was in med school and earlier that incest was the universal taboo. I remember one professor saying that, you can go across, we find Aborigine tribes and, people in the Amazon, and incest is the universal taboo. No society, no culture condones incest. And here we have this dispelled because this whole thing with all these mixture of wives and trading wives and giving groups of wives to another man is so incestuous and so fundamental.
Yeah, the cousins were married. I mean, this is still happening. It's not like this was, this is no longer. Like, this is what is happening today. And who stops this?
I will never forget when my mother called me and said, Becky, your sister Elisa is going to get married. And I was like, what? How can that be? She's only 14. For what reason would a 14-year-old girl be told to marry her first cousin, no less?
My cousin Alan Stade, I had grown up sort of knowing him, and I just grew a really intense dislike for him. He had been mean and rude to me my entire life. There was this feeling that I would get when I was around him. My skin would crawl, and I didn't feel safe in his presence. And because of my stubborn side, I did a few things that most girls of the FLDS don't do, and that is to speak against this impending marriage. I was quite defiant, and I will not do this. I cannot do this. I cannot marry him. When I finally had the opportunity to sit across from Warren, it felt like for me that I was fighting for my very life. I was crying and scared I was intimidated to be sitting in his presence. And it was compounded with him asking me, are you questioning the prophet's will? Do you believe that you know better than the prophet? He was immovable. My pleas and my requests were ignored.
One of the things I thought the documentary, which was well done, fell short was the epilogue. Do they still exist? Are they still running?
Yeah.
Yes. They're definitely still around. Now, granted, so I did look it up. I'm sure Stacey, our pod candy researcher, has also looked into this as well. But yeah, Warren, I think, was recently sued again. He's still in prison. He's probably going to be in prison the rest of his life. But just like the documentary said back in 2022, he's still kind of running everything from prison.
It's going on, and it's still active, though its presence and membership have dwindled significantly in recent years. The leader, Warren Jeff, continues to exert influence as the prophet of the church from prison, where he is serving a life sentence for child sexual assault. And there are still active members, more than 3,000 to 10,000 members remaining. A substantial 3,000 to 10,000 remain, fewer than 3,000. So
what about those recordings? When they moved to Texas, and they were talking about the recordings where the little girls, where they had the big bedroom, the big white bed, where
that was crazy.
Warren would rape these young women who supposedly are his wives, and there would be kids screaming.
And some of the other wives were watching at the time that he was raping a 12-year-old.
It's the most awful sexual stuff for people that say I can't believe the hypocrisy in it. It's hard to imagine, but that bed in the temple. The temple is a place where not everybody gets to go. It's like a very special place. The Mormon temple is from my reading. So going to this Mormon temple, the kids probably thought, we're going to a great place, and then they go in there and they go behind the wall and there's a giant white bed.
Well,
and nothing else in the room. Just to paint a picture for the audience. This is I think, like, you can picture it like the attic of this temple was the upper floor. The room is completely a very bright white with this very bright white bed and linens on it. And this was the rape bed. That's what I'm calling it, the rape bed.
We had been taught that the temple was the most holy place on this earth that there could possibly be.
There was a lot of mystery around it. What had actually happened in that temple was always kept secret. And so I was quite curious when we were given the opportunity to go in with some of the law enforcement.
Working our way towards the back, there was an area that was an arched entry, and it had a real pretty curtains over it. As you go through there is another inner room, and we discovered a bed in there. It was a tall bed. It was actually like an altar where you'd carry a person and put them onto that bed, and it was about waist or above high, and it was very white.
Just seeing that room, I realized that something wasn't right with it. The way that it was laid out, you could feel it.
And wives would watch this happen as he raped it.
But we have to remember too that, like I mentioned before, and this is not to give them a pass, but a lot of the quote unquote wives were also teenagers at the time.
Yeah.
And also, I did find it kind of fascinating that, like, the one woman with the dark pixie cut, that's Alicia. Is that what we said her name is?
Yes.
And then there's Alyssa. And then so Alicia was very young, in her teens, and wanted to be married young. She wanted that. Then on the flip side, you have the other two girls. You have Rebecca's young sister, Alyssa, who eventually, this is why Warren Jeffs is in prison. She and Rebecca really helped the FBI to bring up a case against him. And then you have Alyssa's friend, I don't remember her name, who with the other boy that she loved so much, and that Warren said she couldn't marry him, and she tried to escape, and then she went back. They found this whole thing repulsive. They begged their parents, do not let me marry an old man. But then, this is why I'm mentioning this, on the flip side, Alicia wanted that. She wanted to be married. She was so into this. And I'm just going to say this. I think if things didn't go down the way that they did with Warren taking her kids to Texas, she may be one of those that would still be in this. Just my thought, just my observation.
Well, that's the strength. That's the strength of this brainwashing. You know, we have both grooming going on, grooming these children to be sex objects, horrible. But then there's people are just absolutely brainwashed. You know, this is the way to be. You know, and that's why they still visit him in prison and sing with him and take sermons for their services from this absolute evil criminal. Who would think that would be right? And then the lying, you know, and the people don't even turn against him when there's lying. And then let's emphasize this whole time when he was on the run because he felt the pressure of the law coming down on him when they were in Utah. So he goes on the run and he's living the high life. He's going to the Super Bowl and football games, strip clubs, you know, spending money, drinking, who knows?
Watching tons of porn.
Yeah.
Watching tons of porn.
Hello, isn't that everything that these people say is evil about the world? And yet they forgive him, you know, and they don't turn away from him after all this activity. Maybe they didn't know that this all happened, but a couple of them did. You know, I think, and I love how Stacey in our episodes, she'll undoubtedly mention heroes a little later. But I want to point out some of the people that were so complicit in this. The one guy who's sat there calmly and saying, yeah, we put money in empty tomato sauce cans and to send to him so it wouldn't be discovered. And, you know,
oh my God, it's like money laundering. Like
$300,000 plus a week. So he could live the life that, you know, this decadent life that, you know, he espoused, you know, was against in his church.
How could he has no conscience. He's definitely sociopathic, isn't he? I mean, how did,
you know, this guy sat there almost like he was like, cool. And I'm giving you these facts for this documentary, but you're an evil bastard yourself. You know, you did
smug.
This. It would later come out that while Warren was on the run, he was living the high life. He went to Disney World. He had his favorite wives with him. He wore Gentile clothing. They went to Mardi Gras in New Orleans and strip clubs, and he was watching porn in motel rooms with his wives. He had Harley-Davidson motorcycles that he never really learned how to drive. He was really out living it up, enjoying all the pleasures of the Gentile world that he's supposed to despise.
Every week in the crowd, people would come and turn in their donations or tithing, etc. And we would collect it, envelopes full of cash. The money actually just was transported in boxes to Warren.
It began to be like, okay, we need money this week. Every one of you come up with $1,000, every adult in the home, no matter what it takes.
And we had very little resources for even fuel and gas money to get around. It was hand to mouth, paycheck to paycheck, and worse, maxing out credit cards to try to meet the call.
Until his brother Seth was caught in Colorado.
Seth was acting as a courier, transporting money and mail and information for Warren, and he was arrested for aiding and abetting federal fugitive.
Mr. Jeffs, can you say anything to us? Where's your brother? Where were you headed? Were you headed to Texas?
Seth got a slap on the wrist, and it was one of those kind of things. They didn't get him for very much, but the evidence was there.
So we had to change the tactics on how the money was transported. And we go to Costco and get bulk boxes of cans, like cans of tomato sauce. And we would drop $50,000 in one of those cans and then glue it so it looked like it had never been touched. And when he was on the run, we sent Warren an average of about $300,000 a week. Every week. No, not once a month, every week.
A lot of
Smug.
these people, too, it's all about hypocrisy. I mean,
Oh,
Dr. You definitely we've been highlighting this. It's all about, with this, it's definitely do what I say, not do what
Oh my
I
God. Oh my God. I was literally thinking of that phrase and I was trying to say the same thing, but I was going to say, do as I
do as I say, not
Say.
what I do.
Not as I do.
Stacy and I don't know,
Thank
Dr.
you.
John, can you tell us what Stacy and I are so on the same wavelength? Is there
We're
a
separated
medical
at birth.
term for this? Is there
Separated
a
at birth.
psychological term that Stacy and I are so connected with?
I
our
was
So,
going to
and-
say the same thing. Oh my God. That was so exciting. Like you literally, and the phrase is so out of nowhere. Yes, exactly. Do as I say and
Not
don't
as
do what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they think what they're doing is right. I don't know. They just justify it. Do you think that they're aware
Well,
of it?
that's my point, and I don't want to be redundant here, but you're putting money in a empty tomato sauce can to send to this guy to go on this, heinous, what's the word? Hedonistic journey. Even these brainwashed people, can't you see that this is wrong?
The man was wearing jorts.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's anything un-FLDS than jorts,
Yeah.
I don't know what.
You know what's interesting? The clothing that he chose for these women is very conservative, covered up, and pastels, and all of their hair had to be in this weird French braid. You know, and they looked so, the period wasn't, it doesn't even look period. It looks like they're in like another realm. Can we visit the idea of Zion?
Please.
So like that whole thing, they were building Zion, continuing to build Zion. This guy could lie to them because he trained them to not know anything. So we could tell them anything and they'd believe it.
Well,
anything.
Okay, let's inform the audience that here's what's inform them and kind of give you an answer to that. Remember, they were feeling heat in Utah because there was a lot of indication that the law was going to come down on them and possibly raid them in Utah, which never happened. So Warren Jeffs figures, I better get the hell out of here. So first he goes on this he runs away and has this hedonistic journey, but he also figures we're going to move to another location. And they carefully researched that El Dorado, Texas would be a great place to go. But
El Dorado,
sorry. But to answer your question, that was just a ruse. He creates the excuse for the community that Well, we're moving, and we're moving to Zion, where it's paradise. Zion, I guess, is, like paradise. And so that's the excuse he gave people. Why should we move? Everything in our lives is just great. Warren Jeffs is our leader. We have everything we need. So why are we moving? Because we discovered Zion, paradise.
And paradise included extreme child labor as well. So Zion was built on the backs of young boys who worked round the clock, and the young women too, who worked round the clock as well, all for free.
So they build businesses, especially construction businesses.
This is what I was going to say. So
yeah,
go.
See, we're all psychic. They built businesses where they would build distribution sites and factories for our wonderful friends like Walmart and Amazon. And they could outbid other companies because they had no labor costs. They had their teenage boys building these things, and they could outbid other companies. So, our wonderful, good, ethical, responsible citizens of Walmart and Amazon, also contributed to this whole thing.
Essentially, under Warren Jeffs, the FLDS would take over the businesses owned by its members, as well as the profits that those businesses generated. That was a lot of money.
So Warren had enormous resources through all the companies which the church controlled. They have huge agricultural operations, manufacturing operations, construction, multi-level commercial buildings.
And a lot of the customers for these FLDS businesses are known names: Walmart, Amazon.
What gives the FLDS companies the edge is the fact that they have unlimited free labor through all the boys in the community. If they were good workers, Warren Jeffs, he'd keep them around, because if you're a contractor, labor is half your costs. That's their edge over legitimate businesses. And so the church businesses literally bring in millions of dollars a month. I consider the FLDS the #1 domestic human traffickers in the country. They have boys being transported on work crews all over the United States. And it's the same with girls, too.
What I was going to say is, why, when they were, putting drones over there and looking to see what's going on, they're all like, we don't know what's happening out there, but there's something big going up. Why wasn't anybody curious? And also, why did they excuse the FLDS? That's their stuff. You know what? You wouldn't say that to somebody
I
that's
forgot
their
to say
business.
something. I also forgot to say something too that I want to throw in there, because there was the investigator who was a part of the story, or a part of these series, and there was also the reporter. And I'm just going to throw something just little in that. The reporter used to be a real hunk of a hunk. Boy, later in life, not at all. That's all I wanted to say about that.
But what happened
you know,
to that guy with the long, wacky hair? And
I loved him. I love him.
When he was younger, he's
a hero.
He's wonderful. But when he was younger, he was a looker. When they showed those clips of him, I didn't know it was the same guy. But that's why that just triggered that thought, because yes, that the neighbors. Don't we all find that though in society?
And they're rude when they're in town, by the way.
Don't we all find that though in society, that people, just people in general, we're all like, look at what's going on in our current climate right now in the US. And we're all like, oh, this is going on. It's bad. It could be bad, but I don't want to get involved. I think that it comes down to
I think it was epitomized by that young girl in El Dorado.
That's what I'm talking about.
That was interviewed, and she said, That's their, they've sent.
That's their thing.
These people have a polygamy going on, and possible, minors being
Married and
sexualized.
impregnated.
Well, that's their thing. I don't get involved in other people's lives. It's like, you're right. That seems to be.
Yeah, Gacy was a clown. That's his thing. We're gonna leave him alone. Let him be a clown.
Yeah.
I don't get
Stacey, are you mentioning that? Did you start the new Gacy doc?
Not yet. I haven't started the Gacy because I wanted to.
I mean, not documentary. Sorry, it's not a documentary. It is just
it's a Gacy show
series. Yeah.
The Gacy is on my radar, and right now I'm watching the because you guys brought it up yesterday. The Aileen Wuornos. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong. The one that monster that Charlize Theron, who I love, starred in that movie, and she was absolutely brilliant.
Are you breaking news? Is that possibly going to be our next
podcast?
Because
everybody can see, I'm doing jazz hands. Well, John,
have that as our next.
I always follow your leads, So
I think we do the Lorraine. Or not Lorraine. Her name's not Lorraine. Her name's Aileen.
Yeah, I said Lorraine.
Didn't get it. Yeah, he said like Lorraine
Bobbitt. Right.
Lorraine.
Yeah,
Aileen Wardrose.
Aileen, what?
Wuornos.
I think this is breaking news podcast.
Breaking news.
Podcast candy people that follow us.
Back to our current topic, I just want to call out, because I know Stacey's going to call these people out as heroes, and they are. The name of that reporter who was such a hunk when he was younger and got wacky is Randy.
Wacky looking, not wacky as a person.
No.
Yeah.
Good point. His name is Randy Mankin. And the private investigator who was a hound dog in this whole thing, was in it from the beginning to the end, was Sam Bowen. And these guys.
Good for those guys.
Heroes.
Good for them for just, not being bystanders and like getting up there and just, calling it out. And now everybody can see it. There's still people in it, which goes to show that this thing is powerful. Cults are powerful.
I have a correction here.
You have a correction?
I have the wrong name. Wrong name.
Oh, no.
Randy Mankin was the reporter and newspaper owner in El Dorado, Texas, who was also.
I know who you're talking. He was great too.
Hero,
So who was the private investigator again?
Mike Watkis.
Okay.
Journalist and hero, one of Stacey's heroes. We're going to start to call that segment Stacey's
Heroes. I like it. Stacey's Heroes.
Along with, and what do I get? Well, no.
I want you get the who's the hottest.
But I don't have a corner. I don't have a separate corner.
No, you're not in a corner.
Stacey's got a corner.
Dori, you
Stacey's?
do have a corner. Who's the person in this episode I would do?
No, wait. So it's Stacey's superstars and Dori's dumbasses. So I like
not Dori's dumbasses. It would be like Dori's hot list. No, Dori's hot list.
I was trying to make a DD. Yeah, Dori's hot list. You know what? We should start a hot list for Dori, the criminals and or people on the episodes that we watch.
Always to reference Dori's hot list this week.
Dori's hot list. Yeah. She always finds somebody
her hot list is
this week
Warren
is
Jeff's
Wallace.
brother.
This week is Wallace. This episode is Wallace Jeffs on my hot list.
Yeah. And
not
second
gonna
of
lie.
all, and
I don't need to be the 20th or 30th wife. I'm good, everybody. I'm good.
And the pinch hitter when Wallace is not available would be Mike Watkis, the reporter.
Back in the day.
The young Mike Watkis.
Let me time travel back to the young Mike Watkis.
What is that, like 1980?
There's somebody here in Chicago, Illinois that would like to do you, young Mike Watkis.
Hey, I think
I liked his personality.
I think I'm going to chip into this conversation and see what your reactions are. This is a crazy thought that came to my head as I was watching the documentary. Warren Jeffs was unbelievably unappealing for 80% of this documentary as a young man, as a middle-aged man. But I kind of thought as an older man, he got kind of, a little better looking.
He grew into his looks.
Am I crazy?
I'm sorry, but this is crazy.
Like, this is like me saying I would do Aileen Wuornos.
Spoiler alert, everybody, our next episode.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
In that episode, I have something to say. Just watching some of the clips.
Wait. I just have to clarify this. Is it older Warren Jeffs from, where did you get
prison?
He's not that bad looking.
Cute.
Is it from prison or in the courtroom or both?
Courtroom and prison. I kind of thought as an older man, he wasn't unattractive.
Okay, Dr. John, looking to hit it with courtroom Warren Jeffs, everybody.
Well, my final thought is, FLDS is one of the most dystopian, crazy cults. But I find that IBLP, Scientology, regular Mormonism, depending on what, and Orthodox Judaism are very similar. But for some reason, this FLDS thing is insidious. So I don't know if it's not that it's worse. It's just really deeply gross to me.
Well, I think those mainstream religions you talked about, they're not raping 12-year-olds.
No, I just wasn't talking about
girls.
mainstream religion. I was talking about Orthodox Judaism, high sects, and I was sects, where people don't learn anything about, women especially don't learn anything about sex. In any of these things, IBLP, which is the Duggars and all those, it's the same thing, but it's a different color and a different style, but it's the same thing.
And to a bigger degree, the amount of sexual grooming that went on and brainwashing is so far something we haven't seen yet in our podcasts. And it's maybe we will never see it at this scale. My final thought that plagues me is, what does it say about our societies and our communities where, for example, it took Texas twice to really come down on this? And the first time they put some pressure on and they raided, thank you, I give some applause, but then they backed off to take it to the next level because of political and financial, I think, pressure that, we gotta leave these people alone. And then it finally, the evidence got so heinous, so horrible that they had to shut this thing down. But what does it say about us that it takes, that it takes so much for us to stop this kind of evil in society?
Why isn't Warren in isolation? Why isn't he in the shoe? Why is he able to talk to people and give them information? It's like they're letting him do it. He's still doing it from prison, just like, what's his name? In what's it called? The one with, this is what's happening to me lately, guys. You might need to get me a new brain. I might have to get severed. Nexium.
Yeah.
The Nexium cult. He's in jail and he's still he's still touting his bullshit.
Right.
That's so crazy to me.
We have gang leaders in jail and mafia figures that still run their organizations from jail. So this is nothing new in our jail population.
Well, this is why I like documentaries like this, that I hope that others also watch these, because it really does open your eyes. And I think the more we continue to speak out about these, hopefully the more that maybe things will stop and change. And that is my hope.
I'm just worried about Christian nationalism in general in the country, and it becoming, the evangelicals, are becoming more powerful and bigger. And like I said, these evangelicals make up all of those, religions that I mentioned, including, what's that other one called? What's that place called?
I love that you're like, what's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? I feel like I'm talking to my mother, Jody Goldman. Shout out to my mother, Jody Goldman.
Wait, hold on.
Shout out to Jody Goldman.
Yeah, who can't even form those questions.
Stay tuned for our next episode, which will be on Eileen Wuornos
The Queen of Serial Killers.
on Netflix. Support Pod Candy. If you love our podcast, consider donating any amount to buymeacoffee.com/podcandy. Every bit helps us keep creating the true crime, cult, and pop culture stories you can't stop listening to.
So people can buy us a cup of coffee?
Hey, audience, can you suggest topics for our show? Do you have any ideas? If you do, please email us at info@podcandypodcast.com.
Thank you all for listening, and spread the word to your relatives and friends to listen as well. Our original theme music is written and performed by Midnight Current. You can hear more of their great music on their SoundCloud account. There's also a link to their SoundCloud account on our website, podcandypodcast.com. And don't forget to visit our website to learn more about us and listen to all of our episodes. You can also listen to all of our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And speaking of episodes, wait till you hear our next podcast episode. It's captivating. It's a doozy. See you then.
Pod Candy!